Have you noticed how life seems to get both simpler and more complex as the years pass by? That wisdom we've gained doesn't always make decisions easier, but it certainly gives us a richer perspective. I'm delighted you've joined me today as we explore some truly honest life lessons that many of us discover in our golden years. Insights I wish someone had shared with me decades ago. These aren't just feel-good platitudes or greeting card sentiments. These are the hard-earned truths that come from decades of living, loving, making mistakes, and finding joy in unexpected places. I've gathered these lessons from conversations with hundreds of vibrant, thoughtful people who've navigated the same journey you're on. Please watch this video all the way through, because the final lesson we'll discuss is perhaps the most important one of all, one that took me nearly a lifetime to truly understand. If you find value in what we share today, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Tell us which lesson resonates most with you, or share a wisdom of your own that's guided your path. Your experiences matter, and they might just help someone else who's watching. Now let's begin with some honest truths about life after 60. One of the most profound realizations that comes with age is that time truly is our most precious resource. When we're younger, time stretches endlessly before us, making it easy to postpone dreams or spend days on things that don't really matter. But now we know better, don't we? Every morning is a gift, not a guarantee. I remember my friend Eleanor, who at 72 finally took up painting after decades of saying someday. Her only regret, not starting sooner. I wasted so many years thinking I needed to be perfect before I began, she told me. Now I realize the joy was always in the trying, not the mastering. This brings us to our first honest lesson. It's never too late to begin something new, but it's always too late if you never start. Many of us were raised believing that success meant accumulating things, a bigger house, a nicer car, more possessions to showcase our achievements. Yet I've spoken with countless people who, in their later years, found themselves surrounded by belongings, but yearning for connections. The truth becomes crystal clear as we age. Relationships outlast and outvalue possessions every time. Think about what you reminisce about most often. Is it that expensive watch you bought in 1985? Or is it the camping trip with your grandchildren where everyone got soaked in an unexpected downpour and you all ended up laughing until your sides hurt? Our memories are woven from shared experiences, not from things we've purchased. This doesn't mean material comforts aren't important. They certainly contribute to our quality of life. But knowing the difference between what enhances our well-being and what simply takes up space becomes sharper with age. Many find tremendous freedom in simplifying their surroundings, keeping only what brings genuine joy or serves a real purpose. Another lesson that becomes clearer with time is the liberation that comes from caring less about others' opinions. Remember how much energy we once spent worrying about what people thought of our choices, our appearance, our homes. That concern gradually fades, replaced by something far more valuable: authenticity. My neighbor Walter, who just celebrated his 85th birthday, puts it perfectly. In my 30s, I worried constantly about being judged. Now I wear my bright Hawaiian shirts to church, tell my corny jokes without apology, and dance terribly but enthusiastically at every opportunity. It's marvelous to finally feel comfortable in your own skin. This freedom to be ourselves fully isn't about becoming inconsiderate or dismissive of others. Rather, it's about recognizing that most people are so focused on their own lives that they're rarely scrutinizing ours with the intensity we once imagined. What a relief to set down that burden. Health is another area where honest perspective becomes essential. When we're younger, it's easy to take our bodies for granted. We push them to extremes, ignore their signals, and expect them to recover without complaint. As we age, we develop a more nuanced relationship with our physical selves. The lesson here isn't that we should obsess over every ache or live in fear of decline. Instead, it's about striking a balance, respecting our body's changing capabilities while still challenging ourselves appropriately. Movement matters more than ever, but so does recovery. Nutrition becomes not about appearance, but about maintaining energy and clarity of mind. I've noticed among my healthiest friends that they've stopped treating their bodies as adversaries to be conquered or problems to be fixed. Instead, they've developed gratitude for what their bodies can still do, celebrating abilities rather than dwelling on limitations. Perhaps most surprising is how aging changes our perception of happiness itself. The relentless pursuit of excitement that characterized youth gives way to a deeper appreciation for contentment. Small pleasures, a perfect cup of coffee, a bird singing outside the window, an unexpected call from a friend, take on greater significance. This shift isn't about settling for less. It's about recognizing that joy exists in ordinary moments we once rushed past. There's wisdom in knowing that happiness isn't always about grand adventures or major milestones. Sometimes it's found in the gentle rhythm of everyday life, in moments so simple we might have missed them entirely in our hurried younger years. Learning to savor these moments is a skill that develops with time. It requires presence, something many of us find easier to achieve now than when our minds were constantly racing toward the next accomplishment. There's a certain peace in this presence, a fullness that comes from truly inhabiting our lives rather than just passing through them. Another revelation that comes with age is understanding the true nature of regret. It's rarely the things we did that haunt us. It's the things we didn't do, the chances we didn't take, the words of love or forgiveness we left unspoken. As one wise woman told me, "I've never regretted an act of courage, but I've regretted every time fear held me back." This understanding of regret leads us naturally to another vital lesson: the power of forgiveness, both for others and ourselves. As we accumulate decades of relationships, we inevitably collect wounds, disappointments, and misunderstandings. Carrying these burdens becomes increasingly heavy, affecting not just our emotional health, but our physical well-being too. I was struck by something my friend Richard told me after reconciling with his estranged brother after 30 years of silence. "I thought holding on to my anger was punishing him," he said, "but the only person suffering was me. The moment I let it go, it was like putting down a boulder I'd been carrying uphill for decades." The truth is, forgiveness isn't about condoning hurtful actions or pretending they didn't matter. It's about freeing ourselves from the ongoing pain of past events we cannot change. And perhaps the most difficult person to forgive is often ourselves, for mistakes made, opportunities missed, or roads not taken. Many of us carry an unrealistic standard of perfection throughout our lives. We ruminate over parenting moments from decades ago, career decisions that didn't pan out, or words spoken in anger that we wish we could take back. But wisdom comes in recognizing our shared humanity, our beautiful, flawed nature that makes mistakes inevitable, but growth possible. Another revelation that deepens with age is understanding the cyclical nature of life. When we're younger, setbacks often feel permanent and catastrophic. With time, we gain perspective on life's natural ebbs and flows. The difficult periods eventually pass, and good times, while cherished, are also temporary. This awareness doesn't diminish our joys or sorrows, rather, it helps us navigate them with greater equilibrium. There's comfort in knowing that whatever we're experiencing, countless others have walked similar paths before us. The challenges that once seemed uniquely ours reveal themselves as universal human experiences. I'm reminded of my conversation with Sophia, who lost her husband of 50 years and thought she'd never find joy again. "At first I couldn't imagine a life without him," she told me, "but gradually I realized that honoring his memory meant embracing life fully. He would have wanted that for me. 3 years later, she leads a grief support group and has discovered new passions she never knew existed. This resilience, this capacity to begin again, is perhaps one of our greatest human gifts. It's not about bouncing back to who we were before loss or challenge. It's about integrating those experiences into who we're becoming. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, highlighting rather than hiding the cracks. What a beautiful metaphor for our own lives, our breaks and repairs becoming part of our unique beauty. Speaking of beauty, another lesson that deepens with time is appreciating the value of presence over presents. The most meaningful gifts we can offer others aren't wrapped in paper, but in attention. When we truly listen, when we show up consistently, when we offer our undivided focus, these are the treasures others remember. My neighbor Ruth recently celebrated her 90th birthday. When asked about her favorite gift, she bypassed mention of the lovely items she'd received and instead described how her grandchildren had each shared a memory of time spent with her. "Those stories were worth more than gold," she said, eyes bright with tears. "To know I've mattered in their lives, that's everything." This shift toward valuing connection over consumption brings an unexpected lightness to life. The pressure to impress others through material displays falls away, replaced by authentic interactions. Conversations deepen. Silences become comfortable rather than awkward. We learn that being fully present with someone is both the simplest and most profound gift we can offer. Another revelation that comes with aging is discovering how creativity enhances our well-being regardless of skill level. For too long, many of us believed that creative pursuits were only worthwhile if we excelled at them. Now we understand that the act of creation itself, whether through painting, writing, gardening, cooking, or countless other forms, nourishes something essential in our spirits. I've watched friends discover artistic talents they never knew they possessed, simply because they finally gave themselves permission to try without judgment. Others return to creative passions abandoned in youth, finding their perspectives enriched by decades of living. The joy isn't in perfection, but in expression, in giving form to our inner worlds and connecting with others through what we create. Another powerful realization that comes with age is understanding what psychologists call the spotlight effect, the tendency to overestimate how much others notice about us. Looking back, how many hours did we waste worrying about a small mistake at work, an awkward social interaction, or whether our presentation was perfect? The truth is, most people were far too concerned with their own lives to scrutinize ours. This understanding brings tremendous freedom. We can release the exhausting performance of trying to appear flawless. We can laugh at our own missteps rather than being mortified by them. We can focus our energy on what truly matters rather than managing others' perceptions of us. I often think about what my grandfather told me when I was fretting over a minor social blunder. Most people are too busy starring in their own movies to be more than extras in yours. That perspective shift changed everything for me. What liberation there is in recognizing we're not constantly under the microscope we imagined. Another lesson that deepens with time is the value of saying no without guilt. For many of us, especially women of our generation, saying yes to every request became second nature. We stretched ourselves thin, trying to meet everyone's needs while neglecting our own. But with age comes the wisdom to recognize that our time and energy are finite and precious. Learning to decline invitations, requests, or obligations that don't align with our values or energy levels isn't selfish. It's essential self-care. It allows us to fully commit to the things we do choose, rather than being half present in too many places. My friend Diane, who spent decades saying yes to everything, now calls herself a recovering people-pleaser. She told me, "I finally realized that saying no to others often means saying yes to myself. That's not selfish, it's necessary." Her calendar now reflects her priorities, not just others' demands on her time. Connected to this is another revelation. the importance of protecting our energy. As we age, we become more attuned to what depletes us and what revitalizes us. Some conversations leave us feeling energized and inspired, others leave us drained. Some activities bring a sense of purpose and joy, others feel like obligation without reward. Wisdom lies in recognizing these patterns and making choices accordingly. This doesn't mean avoiding all difficult situations or challenging relationships. Rather, it means approaching them consciously, setting appropriate boundaries, and ensuring we balance energy-depleting activities with restorative ones. I've noticed that my most vibrant friends are quite intentional about this balance. They recognize that their capacity may be different than it once was, but rather than lamenting this change, they've adapted to it. They prioritize quality over quantity in their commitments and relationships. Another profound lesson that emerges with time is the joy of mentoring others. There's something deeply satisfying about sharing our hard-won wisdom with younger generations. Not lecturing or imposing our views, but genuinely connecting and offering perspective when it's welcomed. Martin, who spent 40 years as a carpenter, now teaches woodworking at a community center. I get more satisfaction from watching a young person master a technique I've shown them than I ever did from completing my own projects, he says. It's like planting trees you'll never sit under. There's something deeply meaningful about that. This role of elder, of wisdom keeper, is one that traditional societies have always valued highly. In our youth-obsessed culture, we sometimes forget the unique contribution that experience brings. Yet when we embrace this role offering guidance without expectation of control, we often discover renewed purpose and connection. Equally important is remaining open to learning from younger generations. The exchange of wisdom works both ways. Our life experience is valuable, but so is their fresh perspective and different relationship with the world. The most enriching conversations happen when both sides listen with genuine curiosity rather than defensive certainty. Another realization that deepens with age is how much our attitude shapes our experience. Two people can face similar challenges but experience them entirely differently based on their perspective. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying difficult realities. It's about recognizing our power to choose how we respond to what life presents. I've watched this principle play out countless times in my own life and in the lives of friends facing health challenges, relationship difficulties, or major life transitions. Those who approach change with curiosity rather than resistance tend to not only weather storms better, but often discover unexpected gifts within their challenges. Take my friend Louise, who lost mobility after a serious fall. She had two choices: focus on all she could no longer do or discover new possibilities within her changed circumstances. She chose the latter, developing a passion for painting that has brought her more joy than many of her previous activities. I wouldn't have chosen this path, she tells me, but I've found treasures along it I wouldn't trade for anything. This isn't about denying difficulty or pretending challenges are easy. It's about recognizing our remarkable human capacity to adapt, to find meaning even in struggle, and to continue growing regardless of our circumstances. As Viktor Frankl wisely observed after surviving the concentration camps, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Another profound lesson that emerges with age is learning to embrace uncertainty. Youth often craves definitive answers, clear paths forward, and the illusion of control. Wisdom recognizes that life is inherently unpredictable, and there's peace in accepting this reality rather than fighting against it. I remember feeling anxious about this uncertainty when I was younger. Now I see it differently, not as something to fear, but as the space where possibility lives. The unexpected turn in the road has often led to my richest experiences, my deepest connections, my most meaningful growth. When we hold our plans lightly, we remain open to opportunities we couldn't have imagined. My neighbor Walter phrases this beautifully. At 85, I finally learned to make peace with mystery. Some questions don't have answers, some paths don't have maps, and that's where the adventure lies. There's wisdom in his words, a gentle reminder that certainty is rarely a gift, but curiosity always is. Connected to this is another surprising truth. Vulnerability isn't weakness, but profound strength. Many of us grew up believing we should handle everything ourselves, never burden others with our struggles, keep a stiff upper lip. What a lonely approach to life. Opening ourselves to authentic connection means being willing to share our challenges as well as our joys. I've noticed that my deepest friendships are those where we can be genuinely ourselves, celebrations and sorrows, strengths and struggles. When we pretend to have everything figured out, we create distance. When we share our authentic experiences, we build bridges. There's remarkable strength in saying, "I'm having a difficult time," or "I could use some help." Maria, a wise friend in her late 70s, told me something I'll never forget. In my 30s, I thought resilience meant handling everything myself. Now I know true resilience is having the courage to reach out when I need support. That shift in understanding doesn't happen overnight, but it transforms how we experience community. Another revelation that deepens with time is the tremendous power of gratitude. This isn't about forced positivity or ignoring genuine difficulties. It's about training our attention to notice and appreciate the good that exists alongside the challenges. Research confirms what many cultures have known for centuries, that practicing gratitude fundamentally changes our experience of life. I've developed a simple evening ritual that has transformed my perspective. Before sleep, I identify 3 specific moments from the day for which I'm grateful, not broad categories like my health, but particular experiences. The cardinal that visited my bird feeder, my grandson's unexpected phone call, the way sunlight filtered through leaves on my afternoon walk. This practice has trained my mind to notice these moments as they happen rather than rushing past them. What's fascinating is how this attention to small joys creates a reservoir of resilience that helps navigate more difficult passages. It doesn't eliminate pain or challenge, but it prevents them from consuming the entire landscape of our lives. Even on the hardest days, beauty and connection remain present if we've trained ourselves to see them. Closely related to gratitude is another lesson, the healing power of laughter. There's something profoundly liberating about not taking ourselves too seriously, about finding humor even in difficult circumstances. My friend Gerald, who's faced significant health challenges, says, "If you can laugh about it, you can live with it." I've noticed that my happiest friends maintain their sense of playfulness regardless of age. They can laugh at themselves, find absurdity in difficult situations, and use humor to connect rather than divide. Their laughter isn't denial of life's challenges, but a tool for navigating them with greater resilience. And this brings us to perhaps the most important lesson of all, one I promised at the beginning of our conversation. It's simple yet profound. It's never too late to begin again. Whether it's healing a relationship, pursuing a passion, changing a habit, or shifting a perspective. As long as we're breathing, we have the opportunity to write new chapters in our story. I've witnessed remarkable transformations in people well into their 80s and 90s, new loves blooming after devastating loss, creative pursuits bringing joy decades after retirement, estrangements healed after years of silence. The capacity for renewal remains one of our greatest gifts, regardless of age or circumstance. Our generation has already navigated tremendous change from rotary phones to smartphones, from typewriters to computers, through cultural revolutions and technological transformations. That adaptability doesn't diminish with age. It deepens into wisdom that recognizes what's worth holding onto and what can be released. So I leave you with this thought. What new beginning might be waiting for you? What small step could you take today towards something that matters deeply to you? Your story isn't finished. It's still unfolding, still rich with possibility. If you've found value in these reflections, please hit that like button and subscribe for more conversations that honor the wisdom of our years. I'd love to hear which lesson resonated most with you, or what wisdom you'd add to this collection. Until next time, remember that age isn't about diminishment. It's about distillation into our most authentic, essential selves.